Hello. Today, the question that came across my desk from customer service is how does Let's Go Learn compare to Edmentum's exact path? And so let me go ahead and explain it to you very quickly. And of course, I just want to give you a disclaimer. I am from Let's Go Learn, so I'll probably have a bias. But let me go ahead and just start with saying I'm looking at Edmentum's website, and I'm just going to look at the home page or the main page over here for Edmentum. Exact path, and I'm going to scroll down, and when you look at this point here, it says diagnostic assessment benchmark learning needs. This tells you how it uses data. So starts with a valid and reliable adaptive diagnostic, pinpoint students' precise learning path, and then also says you could integrate it with NWA, MAP, or Renaissance Star to use their existing data. Okay, so this is a little bit of a red flag because MAP and Renaissance, MAP is a summative assessment, which is not a diagnostic. It's made to predict how students will do on a state test. And Renaissance is a screener. It's meant to be a short 10, 15-minute test. So when you have data like that, that's creating a path that tells me, first of all, that you're just trying to place students within a single continuous curriculum, right? That's not differentiated instruction for students who are really behind. Differentiated instruction is you pick and choose exact skills and you fill those gaps. Now, you may say, okay, well, that's NWA data and STAR data, but what about their data? So let's take a look at what they say. So right here, what they say is exact path student summary report. It uses domain details, and this domain details is going to give you a grade level score, and they use a certain number of questions. But this domain is real key because when you dive down deeper into their research paper, they say the adaptive diagnostic, for instance, this example in math looks at 6 knowledge domains: counting and cardinality, numbers and operations, measurements and data, algebra, fractions and ratios, and geometry. So these are 6 areas. Those are their 6 domains that they use to place students in. Well, those 6 domains is considered summative. Numbers and operations is not a single skill, right? If we look at how math is broken up. Okay, if we look at how math is broken up, I'm sorry for the tiny type, I will zoom in later, but this is how math is broken up. Here we see 5 major strands, and that's what we look at. It's very similar. I think NWA looks at 4 strands. They're looking at Edmentum 6 strands. They call them domains. We call them strands. But when you zoom in on these here, let's zoom in a little bit. You see that within numbers and operations, right, they give you a single score, and that's what they're placing students. But actually, numbers and operations made up of numbers, place value, comparing of ordering, addition of whole numbers, subtraction of whole numbers, multiplication of whole numbers, division of whole numbers. Each one of these is its own scope and sequence. And if you click, for instance, on multiplication of whole numbers, the first thing you teach, I click right here, is multiplication readiness, grouping and repeated addition. Then you teach 0 and 1, 2 to 10, power of 10. These are the skills. This is the order, 2 digit by 1 digit. This is how you teach it, right? So this is the way our assessment is created, is we break it down into these 44 subtests that drive personalized learning. So if we take a look at our assessment, this is a particular student, we find the present levels, their mastery points across these 44. So our students get placed, they've mastered this, they get placed right there, place value decimal, decimal comparing and ordering, addition multiple digits, right, and so on and so forth. So very different when you have an assessment that's based on a diagnostic model. It's able to pinpoint with a lot of accuracy. Now, the other thing is they talk about in their document how they do single questions and they zero in on the score. So they give lots of questions and they zero in on a scaled score. Let me just show it to you right here. This is what a lot of the assessments do that are focused on summative. They give questions and they zero in on this scaled score to be accurate. Well, we zero in from the very beginning because when I give you a test right here, and this student, let's take a look at division of whole numbers. This particular student here, division facts, they've mastered it, but when it comes to division of whole numbers, they have a non-mastery, right? And then, of course, one above that is a 4-digit. So these are discrete skills that we give a whole set of items, and we determine mastery or non-mastery based on sets. Very different, okay? Very different approach. Within reading, it's very similar. Now, there's not as many domains. Like we have 44 subtests in math, and they're doing 6, but in reading, it's a little different. There's really only, we have 6/7 subtests. So high frequency words, word rec, phonics, spelling, oral vocabulary comprehension. For instance, the difference with us is we look at it K-12, and we'll go all the way down to K. So even if you have an 8th grader or 10th grader, if we have to move down in phonics, like from vowel digraphs to consonant digraphs, long vowel, consonant blends. And again, we're not doing single questions, because I don't think you could ever say for sure if someone has something right with a single question. We do a set of items. And so when I say this student is working on consonant blends, I know with pretty good certainty that's what they need to work on. Okay, so that's the difference in terms of ELA and reading. Hopefully that makes sense. The last thing I want to point out is on the screen is a URL or possibly a link to a session that was given by Dr. Smith in California, who is a math teacher at a continuing education high school. And he talks about how he uses exact path and Let's Go Learn, but he uses exact path for his students who are near grade, and then he uses Let's Go Learn for those students who are at risk of failing or not graduating. So you could hear from him how he's implemented and operationalized these different products into real world workflows. Thank you so much.